Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, what in the world was that?
I don't know.
We have the owner of the Bennington Black Bears, Andreas Johansson, on with us at Downside Talk.
It's great to be with you guys.
I don't know, folks. There is an echo. Justin's trying to figure it out. I don't know.
You know what I think? You know what I would fix it? I think if Justin mutes himself when he's not talking, I think that's gonna fix it. Because I think we hear like his speaker, if that makes sense. So if he mutes himself and only unmutes himself when he wants to say something, I think that's gonna fix it.
Yep. I just muted him, so there's no echo.
Yeah,
we
yeah.
might have to do hand signals or whatever in baseball or whatever, but he's getting the mic on, so I don't know. We're gonna try it, folks. Bear with us. Stupid technology.
Richard, mute me again.
Okay, I mute you. Andreas, while we're getting him all sorted out, how is it like being the owner of the Bennington Black Bears? I'm just gonna shoot from the hip on this one, but yeah.
It's good. You know, we got a good thing going and got a great fan base, and obviously the team's doing well. So, you know, I enjoy it. You know, and it's a large enough organization where like day to day, I don't have like a ton of things I need to do, if that makes sense. You know, rather than focus on the bigger picture and making sure we're keeping the fans happy and do what I can to help out. But no, it's a tough question, but no, I really like it.
So what's it? I noticed. I think Bob posted a video a while back of you opening up a new team in Mid-South. Is that what the team's going to be called, or is there a name coming down the pipeline? Or
yeah, so Mid-South is basically where the old like River Kings used to play. It was the Memphis River Kings. It became the Mississippi River Kings, and you know, I went there like 7-8 years ago, long before I even had like, you know, I owned Watertown before, but this was before I even bought Watertown. I looked at that rink down there, and at the time they weren't ready because they had the G League basketball team. I think had just moved in, and I think it was a different kind of thought process from the arena's point of view. But now they kind of were like, okay, we've seen what you guys have done in Binghamton, and we've kind of seen what's happened with the league kind of growing in that direction. And they said, hey, would you be interested now? And I was like, man, 7 years later. And I swore after selling Watertown, I said I'd never own two teams at once. But then I thought like it's a really good opportunity. And I think, you know, when you do something like the second, third time, it's a lot easier than the first time, right? So you learn a lot from the mistakes that you made, and you have more people you can plug into certain roles. So I'm excited. You know, it's going to be like, rather than a summer where you can just kind of relax once the season's done, it's going to require a lot more work. But, you know, I'm excited to see if we can replicate kind of what Binghamton has done, you know, in a new market. So it's exciting.
Yeah, there's going to be a whole different market for you, more southern based. So that's what, closer to what, Monroe?
Well, so Memphis is like the biggest. It's like 20 minutes from Memphis. So like we're close to Columbus. I mean, I was going to say Athens, but that's not relevant anymore. But Baton Rouge and Biloxi, depending on what happens there. And yeah, Monroe, I don't think is too far. Columbus, Indiana might not be like a million miles either. So like when I looked at it 7-8 years ago, it was like on an island. Like there was nothing there. And now we're kind of at the middle of everything, while, you know, Binghamton's kind of a little, you know, I think Watertown's going to be fine. But otherwise, we were kind of worrying about, you know, just Danbury being within, you know, a couple hours, and then you guys would be the second closest opponent, which is, you know, it's still kind of a trip out there.
Yeah, and I think they're going to announce the new owner of Watertown today at 6:00 or something like that. And not the new owner, the new coach of Watertown today at some point. So I mean, at least there's life in Watertown. At least they're not.
Yeah, and I mean they're doing.
But
I think they're trying to do the right thing. You know, like such a big part of building the team is getting the right coach. And like by the time this airs, everybody, or unless this is live, like everybody will know.
This is live. I forgot to tell you. I'm really sorry.
Oh no, it's fine.
While we're trying to do with the technical difficulties. This is live on Facebook and YouTube at Thumbfed Talk.
That's fine. I mean, I don't know if they announced the coach by now. Like, I don't want to rain on their parade, but like obviously, I know who it is, and I think they made definitely the right choice for that market. So, um, we'll we'll see if they announce it today or what they do. But I'm excited for them.
Oh man, you know the coach? Who is it? Who is
I think
it?
you will know. When you see it, you're gonna be like, of course, that was the only guy he could be. You know.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be different for Watertown. I'm gonna mute me and kick it over to Justin. I think that's gonna have to. We're gonna have to try this out here and there. But
Sure.
yeah, I'm gonna go here.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I got you, man.
All right. Richard, you could probably unmute now. I think it was my headset. No? Okay. So, obviously, it's good putting a face together. We've talked before. Um, my big question is, I don't know if Richard already asked you or not, but you obviously own a new team coming in the league. Now, will we see something like where the roster's kind of split between Bingo and the new team?
No. I think I would say Mid South. I'm guessing there's an expansion draft at some point where I don't know. Like it's different every year how that works and how many players you pick. And I don't really get involved with the players at all. Like in Binghamton, Sherwood's been there now for like 3.5 years, and I never really interfered with the players. But like if I started trying to take players from Binghamton and just move them there, I think there's no way that like he would agree to that, or the players themselves wouldn't necessarily want to make the move. So no, I mean, will there be a player or two that might move? It's very possible, just like they might move to any other team. um I'm not a big fan of the expansion draft. Like I don't think that it necessarily serves its purpose, if that makes sense, because like I know like teams are gonna expose only players that they know either they're not going anyway to Memphis, or it's players that ultimately didn't really help that team. So if I'm trying to build a winning team, I don't think I can really build it off those guys. Like you can always find one or two players. There's no doubt about that. But
Right.
the draft itself isn't like a huge deal. But as far as players coming from Binghamton to Mid South, I don't see that being a case. Plus, I mean, I'm one of the guys that like really didn't like when there were trades involving a common owner, because I think it could very easily be manipulated, and I'm definitely not going to be the guy that all of a sudden starts doing that.
Right.
Whoever becomes our coach in Mid South is going to be ultimately responsible for building that roster, and if they want to make a trade with Binghamton and Binghamton wants to do it, then no problem. But like I'm not gonna step in and mandate anything like that.
So, I mean, like you said, obviously, whoever you hire down there, if they want to switch with Bingo, um, you think Sherwood would let go
I'm sorry, if Sherwood would let go of who?
of like let's say Tyson Kirkby came up or something? You think would it be a fight to kind of I guess get him to move?
No, I don't think deals like that wouldn't really happen unless there was a player who said like, "Hey, I've been here now for a long time. I'm kind of looking for something new," and at the same time, an opportunity for Binghamton came up. Like I don't know the latest on this because I'm usually not the greatest at keeping track, but I know that there are some like rule changes as far as like veteran players or pro, like whatever those ratings are, like
Yeah.
depending on how that slotting system works out, like maybe Binghamton will have to move a player anyway. So in that case, I'm sure there would be like they would entertain a conversation with Mid South. But if I went to Sherwood and say, "Hey, we're gonna move Gavin Yates and Stubbs or what," like it wouldn't happen because
Right.
ultimately, point like Mid South has no assets to trade back, right? Like if you look at Binghamton historically, like we haven't really traded a lot of players with any team. Like I don't think we made a trade this year. I don't think we made a trade last year.
Um. No, I think you and Port Huron are the only two teams this year to really keep the same roster.
Yeah. I mean, I'm trying. We picked up the goalie Skinner. I think we picked him up, and then he ended up with you guys
Yep.
when Mac and Animal came back because it was kind of like it was in his interest, right? Because if he was going to fight to be the backup goalie, it just didn't really make sense. Well, then he went to you guys, and he was still obviously in a backup position there, but I think he was traded for, but I think it was like an arbitrary,
Oh, okay.
for I don't think we gave him a player, right? Like I think we maybe gave him, I don't know if we gave anything. So other than that, we haven't traded, I think, for quite a while.
So you were around when Jamie Bussell was on your team, right?
Yeah. Jamie
Okay.
was here the year before. I can't remember.
What I guess I mean I know he's with us now. So, but what was it like having him? You know, part of your team. I mean, I guess we've had him on before. He talked a little bit about the Bears, and then he kind of just stuck with Port Huron. But I kind of want to get the other side of the Jamie Bussell.
So Jamie was with us actually twice. Like I think Jamie joined us under Gary Gill's period as a coach. Like I think he joined us. That would have been like in the fall of 22. I think he joined us, and then he went to the SP and wherever he played there, and then he came back. I think he stayed like a year, maybe a year and a half in the SP, and then he reached out, kind of being willing to come back. So we brought him in with Sherwood, and I think it was the beginning of last year, and I think ultimately our team. This may be 2 years ago, actually. I don't remember, but Jamie's a really, really good worker. I think the way that he plays for you guys is probably the most effective way for him to play hockey, to be kind of like an agitator, be a physical player. I think with us, I think he had a little bit of a different role, which maybe didn't like. It's hard to be a playmaker on a team that had so many really, really, really good hockey players as we did. Like I think he was on the team where we still had, Connor Smith and Stanko, like two Michigan guys that you guys might be familiar with. We had
Mm-hmm.
Nikita was on that team, Jesso. Like we had so many really, really good players as forward. So I don't remember if he was playing in like the agitator kind of role then, or if he had a different position. But I think it just didn't. I don't remember exactly the circumstances with what happened. Like I think it wasn't quite working, and I think we at the time he wasn't really interested in trading. I think, which I think is why we waived him. And then I think you guys picked him up because you guys happened to be playing us, I think, in Binghamton. So like,
Yeah, that was the weird part. That he got picked up with Port Huron, and then I think he played against you guys. So he's
yeah,
with you Friday, and then against you guys on Saturday.
yeah, I think that's what happened. And then we didn't really know if he was just like filling in and then was going to leave or what the deal was. But obviously he's stuck. Um, but no, Jamie was always a hard worker. He was a hard worker. He was a really, really good guy. I think he's probably playing his best hockey, at least in the Fed with you guys right now. Like I think he's pretty effective. And he was always a good guy. Like he never caused any problems. He kind of he knew what he was there to do, and he always tried to do it to the best of his ability.
Richard, you want to unmute yourself and try this, so that way you can just keep going. Oh, and then he muted himself. This usually does not happen, Andreas.
No problem.
I'm gonna unmute myself, and I think there's no echo. Fingers crossed.
Yeah, I did the echo cancellation on my side, so we're good.
I don't know if you noticed, Andre, but I am very paranoid by echo and noise, and it slows down the conversation. But I think Bingo's is actually on the course, possible for a three-peat. But I think that matchup between Bingo and PD is actually a pretty intriguing matchup, wouldn't you say?
Sure. No, I think they really got hot at the right time. They I want to say like 10, 15 games before the end. I think they were almost neck and neck with Carolina for that fourth playoff spot, and then they really got going. And obviously, like once the playoffs started, I mean, they beat Athens, 8-2 both nights.
Yeah.
Then just about, snuck past Columbus there, and really like a really good series, real close to, I think, 2 overtime games or even 3 maybe. And they were, this weekend was tough. Like Friday night, I think definitely they were the better team. 5-2, I think, in the end with, an empty netter, but we never really got going. We really struggled. And then I think last night, we picked it up, played more like ourselves again. I think our first period was really, really good. Second period, we spent a lot of time, killing penalties. So you kind of get a little bit of your rhythm kind of gets lost a little bit. And then the third period was a battle. And, we were able to beat them and keep the home ice advantage coming back home. So like we're feeling really good about it. But yeah, they, for a first year team, they've done really well. Like they have a really, really good team. And, especially last night, there was a lot of fans.
Oh yeah.
And the Friday night, pretty good turnout too. But last night definitely was busy.
I think I read somewhere they had 8,000 fans alone.
I think that was total. That was total for the whole weekend.
Maybe, yeah. I don't know what they announced and what was in the building, but it was last night. Definitely, you could tell. Like they got kind of their rink's kind of a little bit like in. I don't know if you guys have been to one in Columbus where like the sides go like really, really, really high up, and like on Friday night there was still like nobody really was sitting in the upper sections, but last night they actually had quite a few people there, so it was pretty loud. They do a lot more stuff. Like for us, we have so much like sponsored content during the games, which like it still involves fans and players, but it's a lot of like the bad haircut or the kiss cam or whatever. Well, they don't have like a lot of that stuff, so a lot of it is just into like hyping up the crowd, which it definitely made it loud, especially as they were playing better like during the games.
Yeah, you get
So-
that, you get that
Go ahead, Richard.
you get that mental wear on yourself. Like if going to a loud building like that, especially if you never played there before, that takes a lot of gall, that like to like mental warfare to wear you down. But it's like, hey guys, we can get through this. Let's do this, and boom, you guys won a 2-1 victory. So I think this is gonna go.
And I think whenever you have a full building like that, it can go both ways, right? Like if you're playing well, then it's really special. But then if you're not playing well, like it can make it almost harder, where I don't know the PD players like too well, but like they definitely have some veteran guys. But sometimes you can kind of see it where you go into another building and you shut them down for the first 10 minutes and maybe you get a goal or two. Then I'm not saying the fans would really turn on them, but it can be difficult. Like you can feel more pressure while as the away team, you have everything to win because you're in there and the players don't necessarily pay that much attention, but I could tell you like they'd rather play against PD on the road with, whatever it is, 6,000 or 7,000 in the stands than going to some rinks where you have 500 people in there, like it's, you can't, because it gets our guys going too, just like for them coming into our building. Like I definitely feel we're going to have a big advantage being at home. But it's not like their players aren't going to feed off of that too. Right. So and we see that like when we play you guys in our building too, like your players probably feed off it sometimes as much as our guys do.
Yeah, you get that choo-choo train effect going, getting that chug effect going, and eventually the light bulb clicks on and off to the races we go. Justin, got anything? I can see you brewing over there, bud.
Well, obviously, you guys, congratulations beating Port Huron, making it to the finals. I have to say, yes, Port Huron fan, but I have to say, respect's there. The thing, I guess, I've talked to Richard before even having you on, when you guys were playing Port Huron. Is there a difference in this year's team from last year's team? I mean, I know last year when the Black Bears went somewhere, they would shut people down 5-6-0. The playoffs, they win 1-0 in McMorran, get shut down 5-1 by Port Huron on Saturday, come back, 1 goal. And then this weekend's kind of the same thing. The the opposing team obviously put some points up on May. Is there a slight difference from last year's team to this year's team?
Um,
I mean, I mean, like I said, you guys have come in and shut a lot of teams down. Which I mean, it's hard to beat you guys. We all say, man, we got to play the Bears. Here's a loss, but it's just the playoffs this year. It looks like it's a different team a little bit. Needless to say.
well, I mean, I think I'm trying to remember last year in the playoffs. We played I think we played Watertown in the first round because I think this is the first year that we don't play them in the first round in like the last 3 years. Then I think
Right.
you guys played in game one at home, right?
Yeah, it's 4-0. I think. Yeah.
Yeah, and then we won game two where I remember you guys switched up the goalies, right? And we won game two,
Yep.
and then game three. So I don't think. I mean, the league is getting more and more competitive, right? Like that's the first thing. Like you don't have like even like if you look at the statistics between Binghamton and Port Huron this year, like I think it's probably 10-2 or something, right, in games. But there hasn't been a lot of, you know, 8-0. Like maybe there's been one or two, I don't know, but like a lot of the games are close. Most
Right.
teams, I would say, tend to play a little better when the playoffs come around. You know, I think, and a little more disciplined too. Like I think you guys, like in the regular season, I think it's fair to say, I know you guys are fans, but like I think some games like Port Huron can be a little undisciplined and kind of sometimes be their own worst enemy, right? Like and start taking penalties and start kind of getting involved in stuff after the whistle. And I mean, sometimes, you know, we or another team will engage with it, but a lot of the time we don't. And then it could end up like costing the game, right? But in the playoffs, there was less of that, I would say, on you guys' side. I mean, they tried to play hockey, and when the play was stopped, that was it. Like there wasn't a lot of extracurriculars. I think that,
Right.
you know, we did get power play, and also it is it's quite tiring for players to play that way. Like when you're trying to do a lot of stuff and engage your opponent, it doesn't work. Like it's mentally pretty frustrating, and it ultimately you're gonna end up probably spending more time in the box because the referees will call the games a little different, you know, in the regular season too. But no, I don't think. I think Friday night against PD we just played bad, and I think game two against you guys, the home game on a Saturday, we just didn't play good. Like we didn't get our game, we didn't win the puck battles. Any loose pucks, we didn't get them, and we just sucked, and we lost the games. And then we picked it back up for the next night, you know. But it was tight. Like we beat you guys on the Sunday by was it 2-1 or 1-0 or you know whatever it
Yeah,
was.
it was 2-1, but it was definitely a nerve wracking game.
Yeah, and then
I think we were all on the edge of our seat for that game. It was just like you said in the playoffs. We can all agree both teams are going to play different than the regular season. Port Huron, we're known for the gritty style play, and you know we see it all over the internet. You know, whether it be our fans rooting that on, or you know, let's say Topeka's fans saying, you know, oh well, that all they want to do is come bully us, blah blah blah. But I didn't know your take on it because I was telling my wife, like it looked like with the 5-1 victory, we were expecting more, you know, from the Black Bears side wise, like, man,
we were
are we going to be able to pull this out? You know,
we were expecting a lot more too. Like we just didn't play good, and you know, the players and coaching staff were the first to say like, "Hey, this isn't good enough. Like if we play like this again tomorrow, like this is gonna end right here." Um, and I don't remember exactly the ups and downs of the game. I just think we never really found our stride, and I think we tried a couple of things. I think we moved some of the players around in different lines, and it just some games, you know, it's going to be like that. Like some games you just don't have it, you know. While um, you know, Cooper had a really good game, and you know, when we did get chances, we didn't bury them. And eventually, like in the playoffs, you're not going to get that many really open scoring chances. So yeah, going into the Sunday game, we just knew. Like I never talked to the coaches or the players before the game, but like I knew that the message was going to be like tonight we got to be a lot better, and it was an emotional win for the guys. Like most of the time, you know, if we win a game, whether it's playoff or regular season, there's a little bit of, you know, celebration, but it's usually just that, you know, We're not done.
Yeah.
Like this is nothing. But there was definitely, like, I would say, relief, because we were obviously going into it, most people expecting us to win, and doing that, you're happy, but you're also relieved, right? And then going into PD, we knew if we could steal a game down there, we'd feel really good about our chances. Didn't have it at all Friday night, but then last night I think we played really well. Like first period, I thought we were really, really good. Third period, we just battled. Second period, great special teams. I mean, we were killing penalties for I think 10 minutes, which and they weren't. I'm not saying like they weren't deserved. I mean, they probably. I mean, 4 out of those penalties probably were right, maybe even the fifth. But obviously, it's tough to kill penalties, and they have really, really good. Their top lines with I think they're Latvian twins, and the
Yep.
Legpov and Zajac, and they got Houston Wilson. Like they got a really, really, really good team. So killing that many penalties against them definitely was. The guys were gassed last night after the game and just exhausted. Like some guys playing 30 minutes almost. But now we've got a full week to rest, and hopefully we can get it done at home.
Yeah.
So you guys have 3 games at home, right? Because the series is tied 1-1.
Yeah, 3.
I guess
2, right? Maybe 3.
Well, yeah, maybe 3. I always jump to the 3 just because I mean we've seen it already this year.
Sure.
I guess what's the message from Sherwood to the boys? I mean, obviously tied 1-1. You guys have been here before. Obviously, you just had it happen to you guys in the first round. But playing in your home barn, that is an advantage. I mean, that's an advantage for any home team. I guess what's the message to close it out to make history?
Well, I mean, I think that the message is pretty much the same. Like we don't tend to adjust how we play depending on who the opponent is. So like I think it's going to be mostly about just playing our own style of hockey. And I think we did struggle a little bit with the ice in PD. Like I don't know if you guys watched the games, and like on both teams, the guys were falling all over the place that you don't normally see. And if you try to make like a long pass from our own blue line or our defensive zone and try to find a forward on the blue line, the puck barely made it to an icing if you missed it. So like it was definitely a little different to play down there. Like that's not an excuse because it's the same for both teams, but obviously they're more used to it than what we are. So like you maybe had to make some adjustments for that, but otherwise the message is probably just go out and play the way that we've done. We won 50 games in the regular season or something. So like I don't think we're looking to change anything up. And as always, like when you're in these situations, you need everybody in the lineup to chip in, whether you play 3 minutes or 30, and then you kind of rely on your bigger dogs to step up and score. I mean, like when we played you guys on a Sunday, we got Mac Johansson was sitting out Saturday, and he's healthy enough to come back in and play Sunday, and he gets both of the goals. I mean, stuff like that where a guy like that comes in and leads the way, that means a lot. Last night we had goals from 2 of our defensemen, DeRazio and Stoner both scored. They just took advantage of the opportunities that they got. So there's a lot of these random kind of chance too in the playoffs, but it really is just going to come down to just play our game and just take one shift at a time. Don't start thinking about if we win Friday, then we can win it all Saturday, or if we lose Friday. Like you just got to take it a game at a time. You take it a practice at the time, and just make sure you kind of don't change things too much.
Yeah, I mean, like I watched. I don't even know what today is. I've been working 7 days for the last 3 weeks. I don't know what today is, but you could say Sunday, but it feels like Monday to me. But going down to PD, which is 80 degrees, that's warm. That's warm for that whole barn. That's not good for the ice. Going up to bingo, it's 60 degrees. So I'm hoping that ice can stay together, which it would.
Yeah, and I just think we have more. They're doing a great job down there, but it's obviously their first year of having hockey, right? So, like for us, Bantham's had hockey for so long and the same staff. So, like, I think we have a little more like sophisticated, like technology to monitor the ice and the ice temperature. And even if it gets hotter outside, I think there are certain things we can do to make sure the ice, you know, still is good. I mean, we've been lucky enough to have, you know, home ice now 3 years in a row in the finals, right? So like we kind of figured out a way to make it work. But I mean, it's Binghamton. It could be 80 degrees on Saturday. It could be 30. Like it could be, you know, the weather is so kind of fluctuating, but I don't think it's going to impact like the ice conditions.
Andreas, I'm going to bring our third guy in. I'm just
Sure.
letting you know. Andy Klein, Andreas, Andy Klein.
Very nice to meet you, sir. How you doing this afternoon? Everybody hear me?
Hello?
Hello?
Andreas?
Uh-oh. We've been...
Can you hear me?
I can hear you. We can't hear him.
I can hear you.
This happened earlier.
We've had difficulties all day, Andy.
Justin left
right.
earlier. Andreas mic went sideways. Justin hopped out. It was just weird.
Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, we
Yes.
can hear you.
Oh, yeah, there we go.
Oh, beautiful. All right. Yeah, I don't know what happened. I don't know why that happened, but anyway, here we go.
It did it earlier. When Justin left, it did the same thing.
Yeah, it's super weird. Yeah, I don't know why, but hey, it's working out.
Yep, that's the main thing. As long as we're not connected now.
What's up, Andy?
Not a whole lot,
Sorry.
man. Very nice to meet you. Just another beautiful day over here in St. Clair, Michigan.
Yeah. You guys
Yeah,
have good weather or what?
What was that?
You guys have some good weather out there?
Yeah, it's both 50s right now. Nice and windy.
Yeah, I bet. Yeah, we got the same. Look, I live in Maryland, so we're probably like low 60s or something, I'd say.
Oh, can't go wrong. Yeah.
So,
well,
Andy,
sorry for the delay.
we covered some questions about the Port Huron game, the PD game, his new team. So I guess my answers are out. My questions are out. Your turn, Andy.
Okay. So obviously, yes, you got the Black Bears and you got the Mid-South. What are the struggles with owning two teams that really complicate the things, or that has been pretty smooth for you since you've been running two so far?
So far, it's been okay. And like I was telling the guys before, like I don't get too involved with like the player side of it, because that's where it could definitely get complicated. Like if you're trying to either manage like two rosters or you try to like move players between the teams for whatever reason, that would be like a real struggle. I usually don't do anything with the players, so like I don't think that should be too bad. Like obviously geographically it's a bit of a challenge because Memphis is not that close to, you know, where I'm at in Maryland. And like with any startup team, it's a lot more work, right? Like once you're established, like it's not like you don't have to do things. You constantly have to try to like make it better and, you know, make sure the fans keep coming back and whatnot. But in the first year, I mean, it's a lot more work and kind of get your name out there and kind of going through that process again that we did the first, I would say, year, almost 2 years in Binghamton. You know, first year was a COVID year and team was okay, but it wasn't great. And the area really weren't sold on, you know, a Fed team after having had the American League. Second year was kind of when it started picking up for us, you know, fan wise, even though, yeah, the team was pretty good then. I mean, I think we lost in the second round to Danbury, who ended up winning the whole thing. But yeah, it's definitely tough. But like, you know, in the past, I owned Watertown for a year when I had Binghamton, and it was a little tougher because it's a small market team, you know, and then you really have to be more hands on. While the Mid-South is kind of like Binghamton, where you can kind of afford to have enough people there where you don't have to like day to day do too much.
Oh, what actually drew you to Memphis to bring a team to Memphis?
Like 7 years ago, before I even bought Watertown, I had looked at that rink because that was after they just lost to River Kings, and I thought this would be a great place. Back then, like they just got the G League team, and the arena just weren't really probably ready for it. Um, but yeah, they called. I would say in December or something, and said, "Hey, like I know it's been a long time, but would you be interested in a hockey team here now?" And I said, yeah, I don't know. Like, I don't know if I want to really do another one because it's a lot of work. And, we own soccer teams in Europe where, like, I'm very hands off, but, I still spend some time. But in the end, I just thought, like, it's a great opportunity. And, obviously, when you've done it once or twice, you can cut a lot of those kind of early mistakes and stuff out there, and you can kind of just kind of start from a little bit of a better position. So, yeah, no, I just thought it was a great market. Like the arena staff are like super welcoming and easy to work with. The business community has been like showing us that they want a hockey team. So, yeah, we're excited. It'll be a lot of work this summer to get going, but yeah, like overall, I'm excited for it.
Heck yeah! I mean, with all the success of the Binghamton Black Bears, I know you guys have a tremendous fan base up in Binghamton. So I'm sure with all the stuff that you guys do, you'll be able to bring in a lot of fans down there. Like you say, with that rink being used for the River King previously, that should bring them one hell of a hockey market.
I hope so. Yeah, like obviously every market's different, and like Binghamton, we were lucky coming in where we just took over from the Devils, so like a lot of the season ticket holders and even sponsors just walked straight in and worked with us where, we don't have that luxury necessarily because, the River Kings was 10 years ago. So like they, a lot of those sponsors aren't probably there anymore. And they probably haven't exactly kept up with what's happening with hockey. But yeah, like some of the elements that we've done, like just try to be really engaged with the community and the fans and just being out there and being really visible. Like I think if we can replicate that and get the same type of players that are like willing to be out there, win or lose, you're going to be out there, meet the fans, interact with them. I think that's the key. And I know that, Ken's doing that or, started doing that this year a lot. And I'm not saying it wasn't done before. I don't know, but I know that like you guys are trying to do the same thing, like going out, being visible, meeting with the fans and, building a very tight community of fans, which I definitely know you guys have. Sometimes they email me to complain about things, and that's okay. Like I don't, right, Justin?
I wasn't going to bring that up, Andreas, but since you did.
Okay.
No, I mean, we all have our concerns about Blake Anderson. I mean, we did. But obviously, like I told the guys, you were about the only one in this whole league from the front office, player safety, commissioner, whatever, to actually answer somebody. So, yeah, I like I told you, I respect you for that.
No, and that's why, like, normally I would say normally I don't. Like, it doesn't happen often, obviously, that fans, like, Facebook, yeah, you'll get some messages sometimes, but email typically I don't get. But if you do, and it's just someone dropping F-bombs and stuff, then I never answer because like, what's the purpose, right? But first of all, I mean, it was like late at night and, I didn't have much to do. And then I just thought like, all right, like, obviously you're passionate about your team and you probably know a lot of the other fans because like there's a fine line between like on the ice we want to definitely beat you guys every time, but like obviously with a player going down like that there's obviously a lot of emotion and like our guys the guys that were sitting close were like almost sick like because it he was out like lights out by the time that because the first hit and then by the time the second hit happened, he was already out. Like he didn't have to hit the ice for that to happen. So we were all kind of like, obviously you worry for him. And then, I don't want to throw anybody under the bus, but like the medical wasn't exactly the way it's supposed to be, if that makes sense. Like, we got EMTs in the stands that come down to the ice, but like by then the player had already been moved, which it doesn't matter. But like that, was definitely a problem that we were like, hey, this can't happen. Like, you can't move, you can't touch the guy if he's out cold like that. You drag him off the ice and put him in like a little chair. Like, what was the purpose of that? So we were kind of like worried for him. And then, during the game, we heard he was doing better. And then, after the game, I talked to Grammer and Alex, and they said, oh yeah, he's on the bus. And we were like, what? Wait, what? He's riding the bus now? And they were like, no, so I was like, okay, so he's probably doing better. Then I talked to him like on the phone on, I think it was a Sunday or the Monday. Like, I gave it a few days, and we checked in with him like on and off. And obviously I talked to him for a bit when we were out there, for the playoff game. He was up in the stands with a bunch of the other guys, and we just wanted to I just wanted you guys to know that like stuff like that obviously it's not intentional. Like it, and I think once the heat was dialed down, like I think everybody understood that like that wasn't like if you tried to do that 100 times over, you probably couldn't do it the same way. Because like the way I can't remember which players it was, but like he gets hit by one guy kind of from behind a little bit, and then he gets hit by the other guy. Like, so obviously because he's fallen over the shoulder or whatever, I think hit his head or whatever. I don't remember, but it was such a random like event. And then I think like 2 minutes later, I think Reggie Millette goes like head first into the board, which I don't think he got hurt. And then we got, Yates went down after that, and he sat out like the rest of the regular season. So like it was kind of an insane game, like over 3 hours, and it was just a lot of emotion that I was like, oh man, let's try to dial this down a little bit. And we did like a little debrief kind of email after the game, because there were a few things where like there were some like in the report of like players trying to like swing sticks at fans, and something happened in the penalty box, and we just said like, hey, just drop all this stuff against Port Huron. Like obviously they're heated, and it wasn't anything that like was out of the ordinary. And I think after that it calmed down like a little bit. But yeah, it was just one of these things where I was like, yeah, we didn't injure the guy on purpose. And then I think I said like, hey, Chris Paulin, like I know Paulin, he played for us for a little bit, and we talk like not often during the season, obviously, but you all speak to each other, and like he's a smart guy, and he was a goalie. Like what you say in an interview after a game and what you actually mean are different. Like if he goes out and says, hey, they're trying to run the goalie, that gets all you guys fired up, and more people come to the games, and it gets everybody dialed up. Of course, he knows that like we're not intentionally running into a goalie. And the game when he got hurt, like it wasn't even like a big collision, right? It was kind of like another, I think our player tried to stop, and it kind of bumped him a little bit, and it was unfortunate, but like nobody's trying to run goalies. Like that's not, and I think you guys know that, but obviously it did help to rile the fan base up and sell more tickets. And I don't blame, like you do what you got to do to move tickets. I mean, we'd probably do the same thing if we had to,
Yeah, I can see your aspect of that 100%.
Yeah, it's just it's salesmanship, right? And we need this rivalry. Like I was telling you, Justin, in the email, it's like it used to be like us and Danbury, really, really intense, up until I would say like a year. Like it's still there, but it's maybe not quite the same now. Maybe it'll get back there, but like it's been more so closer games with you guys and a lot more of that physical stuff with you guys. So like we need that too. So like if someone says, oh, F Binghamton, they're gonna run our goalie, we're like, all right, like if you want to think that, that's great. Maybe we'll do it, just to, really get it dialed up. But like, it's not something that would ever, like there's still a lot of respect between the players on the teams. Like once it's all done, like we don't, it's just another opponent, at least on our side.
Yeah. I mean, like at the end of the day, like how you guys mentioned the Danbury and Binghamton rival. Section 102 dumping beers on your guys. I mean, I sit in Section 9. We're the north side nightmare that just give it to Binghamton the whole game. And yeah, there's a sign of respect to it. One, our security staff don't allow you to hardly do anything, and two, Danbury's don't really have a security staff. They just sit back and watch and go, "Oh, good luck, boys."
Well, there is a big difference, right? Like where I think Danbury did some stuff to improve it a little bit. Like after at some point last season, they kind of started changing it up, and I think they've done like this year we've had no issues there at all. but there's a fine line. Like we don't mind going to you guys, and you can abuse us all you want. Like the players don't. They don't. I mean, it sounds harsh, but I don't think they really care, right? Like it's fine, and it gets it gets more people in the building, and it gets you guys going, and the players sometimes can feed off of that too, right? But is a difference where you gotta like watch out because someone's like reaching through the glass or trying to spit on you or throw something, and then if you so much as turn around and someone drops an F-bomb, all of a sudden you're facing a suspension for a player. Like to me, that's just stupid. Like you don't ultimately want that. Like and I think it also can hurt you fan wise because like there are some fans that really want that, and there are some players who thrive off of that. But if you're trying to build that entire image on like the bad boy kind of mentality, then you're really only going to get players that want to play in that type of system. That every game you got to go out and hey, let's play. Let's really be up to the edge and over the edge. And some players just don't. They just don't want to be a part of that. Like they're skilled players. They don't want to go out there and have to fight or look at someone's going to take a run at him to retaliate. So it's a complicated thing how to keep these rivalries controlled, right? And I don't think there's been any issues off the ice when we play you guys. Like not that I can remember. I mean, we had a puck in the stands incident last year, but that was kind of a separate thing. Like it didn't really have anything to do with you guys or anything like that. The rest, it's been like, and I think Ken as an owner and Matt and Alex, like they know that like on the ice everything's fine, and off the ice you can chirp each other, you can hate each other if that's you can definitely do that, but they wouldn't allow it to get like past that point, which I think is we have the same way. Like we wouldn't want anybody ever trying to like attack a player or throw something on the bench. Our fans like to get in Paulin's head, because they watch the interviews probably as much as you guys do, and they listen to him, and then they kind of bring stuff to the game. But like it's all been good fun, like it's not something that's ever going to hurt him, and I don't think he necessarily cares too much either about it.
At the end of the day, you just got to separate the chirping from the game of hockey. And it's just like even at the end of the first game in Port Huron, I mean, we were all right at the glass yelling back and forth. If I don't get told to F off by somebody, if I've sat there and heckled him the whole game, well, what is he doing on the bench? It's just all part of the game.
That's where I've had a problem, and like it's not a secret. Like the league knows this. Like I think there's a certain point where like, yeah, if a player gets up in the stands or something or starts throwing things at fans, that's different. But like if there's some back and forth, and what do you expect? Like I've been on the bench a few games in Danbury, like when when I was in Watertown, I was on there a few times when Clarkie was sick, and then I was on there when like at the worst of the Binghamton Danbury stuff going on, I was on the bench a few times. And like if you yell at me for 60 minutes, like, and I beat you, like I'm gonna probably say something. Like it doesn't mean I hate you or I want to kill you or anything. You just mean F you. Like, it's not sometimes it gets made a little more out of it than it probably needs to be. Like, it's not that big of a deal.
I think there was one time, and correct me if I'm wrong, that our Section 9 got in Brant Sherwood's head, and the towel goes flying on the ice. Huh?
The towel throw incident.
And he got kicked out of the game. I think the towel. Yeah, that's kind of funny, but no. So the towel is more related to the referees, because I think that was in one of these games where it was like penalty after penalty after penalty after penalty, and I think he was meaning to like wave like a white flag, like he put it on top of his stick. And he was waving it. Yeah, he was definitely waving it.
And then I think he lost it, or I don't know what happened, and obviously he got tossed out of the game. It was kind of like a funny thing, but I don't know. I don't know if that was this year or last year. I think it was probably last season.
That was this season.
No, that was this season.
Oh, was it? Yeah, I don't remember, like, because I never go to the road games, like, unless, like, in playoffs, I'll do it, but, like, I'll try to watch that. That
was the same game where the start the bus chant started, and, well, unfortunately, Bingo scored with 30 seconds left in the game.
Yeah. I remember that game. I remember we scored late, and there was something else, I think, going on. I don't remember. I don't remember. There was something else with that game that became like a big deal afterwards within the league, but I don't remember what it was.
I think it was one of the referee big ordeals.
That might be it.
I
Yeah,
know.
maybe it was something like
Yeah.
that. Yeah.
Where I think
Sherwood came back by the ice surface.
yeah, when he was supposed to stay in the locker room or something like that. So
Maybe, yeah. I
But
don't remember what. Yeah,
I mean, I can admit, I think Richard can admit, Richard's had some encounters with some bingo players at the glass, right, Richard? But I mean, I love the rival between Bingo and Port Huron. I do. I mean, I think it's my favorite time of the season when we play you guys, just because the chirping is just off the hook. I mean, from the internet right to the arena to hell, I've heard it in the parking lot before. I mean, it's just like Andy says. At the end of the day, we're all going to buy you a beer. I mean, it's just it doesn't matter what jersey we
yeah.
wear.
And it's been really good hockey. You know, like these guys that you guys brought in at the end there, those D1 players. Like I don't know if they're staying in the Fed next year or if they're doing something else. But like those guys really added like a lot of skill too. You know, and these were yeah, even though the record was kind of like slanted in our favor, like there were still pretty close games for the most part. You know, a couple of goals either way. So you know, who knows what will happen next season with rosters and players and who's going to go where. But I'm sure, you know, you guys probably take a month or whatever off, and then it'll start kind of the work on signing players again. And I'm sure the rivalry will continue because I don't know what's happening with Motor City, to be honest, if they're coming back in or not. But otherwise, I don't see necessarily another rivalry within the division.
Well, we got Indiana.
Yeah, I guess, and like they obviously
Pretty
got
much
a
it.
lot better,
Against them.
and they got a lot better as the season went on, right? Like at the beginning, I think I don't know what their record was, but it wasn't great. But then during the season, they got a lot better. Like ET coming in, and you know he did a good job, really good job of what he had to work with there.
I was gonna say, if Motor City comes back, we got Mid South team you have, and hypothetically we don't know Minnesota. Okay, I say this a lot. Is there going to be a split, like an East versus West division, or you think they're going to try to manipulate how everything is now?
I think your guess is
Spill
probably
the
as good as
beans.
mine there. I don't know. Like I don't know what the latest is with Minnesota, probably any more than you guys do. Like I know it's been a little back and forth there. I think it's going to depend on what we're seeing, like with Biloxi and Baton Rouge. Like if those teams are gone, there has to be some type of rebalancing of the divisions, probably.
I believe they announced that they are gone. They are done.
Okay. So if they're done, unless somehow like one of those teams gets resurrected, then you know that would leave the South with like Columbus, Mid South, Monroe, Carolina, and am I missing anyone or
Baton Rouge.
No, Baton Rouge is gone.
yeah,
see,
we're
Oh
saying
no,
they're
I mean
gone.
Blue Ridge.
Blue
Yeah,
Ridge
but
be the
they were in our
Yeah.
division, right? Yeah, Blue
Yeah.
Ridge probably maybe they would switch over to the other division then and balance it out. And Minnesota, I guess they would be in the north, even though they're not close to any team, so it doesn't really matter which division they're in.
Right.
Maybe they'd realign it east and west. I don't know. Like it doesn't that doesn't really make a lot of sense either, right? Because then we're gonna get like us, Watertown, Danbury, I don't know, Blue Ridge in Carolina, and maybe Columbus, and then the West would be what you guys, Monroe, Memphis,
Topeka, Indiana.
Topeka, and Minnesota. I mean, maybe, but then we're still probably your closest opponent, right? Like other than Motor City. I don't know, Indiana maybe is closer for you guys.
Yeah, they're 6 hours.
Yeah, okay. So that would kind of kill that rivalry off a little. Yeah, I don't know. It'd probably be a north and south, I'm thinking, but Yeah, we probably have to wait. Like we'll get the annual meetings here in like I think the end of May, and I guess by then we'll start trying to figure out what we're gonna do.
So, Blue Ridge, speaking of Blue Ridge, what was the deal with Bingo and Blue Ridge not, I guess, one of the teams refused to play each other?
You'll have to ask them. It definitely wasn't us.
Okay. Because I
Yeah.
know there was a lot of talk that I believe it was Blue Ridge that rejected to play you guys. I heard it was some kind of brawl that happened down in Blue Ridge. I really don't know. I don't watch the Bears in Blue Ridge when Port Huron's playing during the season, unless they're playing us. But is that fair? Do you think that's fair? I mean, you guys played Watertown, Danbury, and us. Really? I mean, is it
I
fair
think
to the rest of the
it's
teams in the league?
I think it's stupid. I think the league because you know the initial schedule that came out had us play them, and then all of a sudden it was gone and replaced with another Watertown weekend, and we were like, why is this? And they said, oh yeah, because of what happened, and we were like, what? Like what does that mean? Like not like whatever happens, done and over with. Like it's finished, and there was no reason for that game not to. It would have given us some variety. Like it's not that long of a trip. Like it's probably similar as going to you guys, but yeah, it was off the schedule, and then never get put back in there. Like we could have played them a couple of times to mix it up more because it isn't. You could make the argument, as some have done, that like Danbury probably could have been in the playoffs instead of Topeka. It's just Danbury played us 15, 20 times probably, and
Yeah.
Topeka played Indiana, and that's no disrespect to Indiana, or Topeka, but like, could you make the argument? Probably, but at the same time, did we want to go to Topeka 24-hour trip? No, we didn't. So like, it is difficult to make the schedule balance, but like I think from our perspective, like I think next year we'd like to see a little more variety because I think we saw like a little too like we went to Watertown 12 times or something, which travel wise is great because it's so easy to get up there, but obviously it kind of tied their hands a little bit because I think they maybe beat us like once or twice. And, that's 30 points that they didn't get, so, and same with Danbury. Like this year, everything was really calm and nice, but like the more you play each other, the more it tends to spill over into other things. I mean, I don't know how many times we played you guys, but it was a lot too. It probably must have been 10, 15 times. And there's a fine line between this is a great rivalry that fans will circle on the calendar to, oh, it's happening every other week. Like now it's just not that special anymore. And it's also, if we make the assumption like you guys are the second best team in the division, which I think is fair to say, like if you play us a disproportionate amount of times, like the record still was what it was. Like it was probably 9-1 or something in the regular season. So then we took 27 points and you took 3. So like had you played someone else for 5 of those games, it could have been another 12, 15 points you could have had.
Now,
So it's tough. It's really tough to do the schedule.
I have to ask because I've been wanting to ask you. I don't like. I would never ask you on social media, obviously, or email or whatever.
Sure.
The way Port Huron played you guys this year, and I think all 4 of us can agree, it was a whole different year for both teams. I think Port Huron kind of caught on to your guys' style, your guys' playmaking. Do you think there's going to be a big change in that 9-1 next year against Port Huron?
I don't know. Like it's gonna depend a lot on. Obviously, we don't know what the rosters are gonna look like, but I mean, you guys played a certain way against us because I think the belief was like this will really work, but I think you can make the argument that it probably didn't. Like if you look at the results, I think you can make the argument it probably didn't work, right? Like just looking at the points between the teams. And I also think there is a fine line where, how would I put it? It was kind of the same when the Danbury rivalry started going from like 50-50 back and forth to us being a little more dominant, where their entire focus was on Binghamton. Like, what's Binghamton doing? Who are they bringing in? What kind of penalties are they not getting called on them? What's like, when you get too obsessed with like one opponent, I think that could actually kind of hurt you, right? Like nobody in our locker room or our coach's room cares what happens in Port Huron at all. Like we'll study video before we play you guys, like with any other opponent, but we spend zero time worrying about Port Huron, looking at Port Huron, seeing at how many penalties do they have, how many, like we don't care. And maybe that's the same on the other side, but I feel like there's a disproportionate focus on, you know, what's the Black Bears doing? Are they taking a run at the goalie? Are they hitting us? Are they playing dirty? Are they doing this? Are they doing that? It might be healthy to just focus on like, what can we do? How can we get better to make this a closer matchup rather than, you know, I'm not saying that's the case, but I think in some cases there's like a disproportionate focus on what we're doing. And I think it ultimately has hurt you guys a lot more than us because some games they come out and they're so ready to play that they just run themselves just out of steam early in the game. They try to hit everything that moves, to do stuff after the whistle. And if we don't respond, maybe for the first period you can keep it together, but after a while it just exhausts you. And not just for that game, like the next, if you play the next night somewhere else or you play a few days later, mentally that's a very, very difficult style of hockey to play. So I think there's good and bad. Like you want to always, and we expect to have everybody gunning for us. I mean, that's kind of what you get for winning, you know, 2 years and hopefully 3 years in a row. Like we expect nothing different and we really don't have a problem with it. Like we understand it. But I think for the matchup to change, I think ironically there has to be less focus on like we have to beat Binghamton, because I think it's, if you just try to build the best team you can, play whatever way you want to play, and you build your team based on that. Like I think towards the end when you got those D1 guys in, real skilled players, like the team was, I think you were closer to being able to knock us out when you played those skilled guys. And when you have guys like Reggie Millette, like when a player like that is focused on just playing hockey, like he's a very, very, very good hockey player, right? But when it becomes more about the other end, it's not Reggie per se. Like I'm just, you know, with any player, like when it becomes too much about just trying to play physical and maybe try to get in our heads, it doesn't really work. But if you can score 2 goals a night, that could actually hurt. That does hurt us, right? So I think that's ironically like the solution to the problem might be to focus less on what's Binghamton doing and what can we do, like just be better and find our style of play that doesn't vary from game to game.
Well, good thing we don't have no fans playing for each team, huh?
There would have been some couple crazy responses like Coop incident and the Ando incident. Some of these fans are very diehard. I can say I'm a diehard fan. I could say
And it's fine, and
it's said, but
and that is totally fine, and that's expected, and you expect that, and like I don't mind that at all. Like when people get upset when like, you know, the injury to Blake Anderson or what, like I have zero problem with people getting upset. I don't care if people think, oh, the referees are in favor of one team or another team. Like that's totally fine. Like fans should be that way, and our fans are the same. Like they'll come down on us if we lose a game. You know, you lose one game, it's this team. You know, they got to figure it out. You know, and that's perfectly normal. Like that's life in sport, right? Like you're judged. It's not like any other business where you have a long time to build a track. Like here, you're kind of judged on your performance, like immediately. Like, did you win? Did you not win? If you didn't win, then why didn't you win? But, you know, with the fans, that's how it should be, and that's why, you know, when you guys play us, I would assume you probably sell a little bit more tickets, and fans are a little bit more likely to say, hey, I don't care if it's 20 degrees out, we're going to the game tonight. Well, if you play, you know, I don't know, someone else, maybe they go, hey, you know what? Let's just stay home and watch it on TV. And I think in our building, it's the same.
I've done that. Yeah, I've done that.
Yeah, right. And I think it's the same
snowstorm,
when
Bears are in town, I'm going.
yeah, and I think it's the same in our building. Like Port Huron draws, you know, I think we draw pretty well regardless of who it is. But like I think Port's definitely now the opponent that most fans probably look forward to, because they're always close games and there's a lot of action. Like some of the games at home against other teams have been winning by a lot, which I mean, it's nice, but it's not exciting in the same way. Like they'd rather we win 5-4 in overtime than 9-0, because the 9-0 game doesn't have anything really special. I mean, it's special, but it's not something that like doesn't excite them in the same way, right? So we kind of want that rivalry to be there too, and we want other teams to be good.
Yeah, you want the crowd engaged throughout the whole game compared to when it's 9-0, they can go up, they can leave early, like, hey, I ain't gonna miss nothing. What am I gonna miss? Another goal? I mean,
Yeah, I mean, they
Right.
like coming there, and they kind of like try to get in Paulin's head, and they boo Reggie Millette, and they whatever other players at the time, like, and that's kind of been that's what they like coming out for.
yep.
So going back to fan base, obviously we talked about, the fans getting into it. Would you agree that your fan base is kind of just a little hurt about the Prowler hockey thing?
No, I think they like making fun of those. I think they like making fun of those interviews, because it was kind of like at one point, I think he was really kind of focused on like just random, like, oh my God, they did this, like, so then obviously they kind of made fun of like how it felt at the time, like we were kind of living in his head nonstop. And they made these posters, with him dreaming about like the team and stuff, which was kind of funny. And then when I think the Prowler hockey was like the opposite of that, where every question he's answered it like we're playing Prowler hockey. And I think they just thought it was funny that like maybe somebody told him like, hey, stop doing this to yourself. Or maybe he just thought like, all right, now it's time to like take the focus away from these interviews and just focus on hockey. So I think they were just making fun of it. Like, Chris played for us for a little bit. It wasn't long. It was maybe a few months or something. Like he was kind of there in the transition period when Gary Gill left and Sherwood came in, and we kind of had at the time we went through maybe 10 goalies or something in that year. I mean, it was a lot. I think Ian Wally, I think he played for you guys for a
Yep.
bit. He was with us for a minute there. We had a lot of goaltenders at the time, and I can't remember why it didn't work.
I didn't even know Ian played for you guys, to be honest. I thought he always just played for Port Huron.
No, he came. I don't remember. Like at the time, I think we had Riley McVeigh was like our starter for a little bit, and I think Wally was one of the backups. And then we had a guy come in from Princeton. So I don't remember. I know Wally went like back and forth probably a couple times. He was just such a great like teammate. I don't know how many games he played for us. Like I would say a few he probably did, but not a ton. But yeah, so Paulin was here like during that period. So obviously I think for him it wasn't like a great experience, and that I think he, because him and Gary Gill were pretty tight. So Gary brought him in, and then obviously Gary was gone, and then we kind of went a different way with the goaltending positions. I think it wasn't a great experience for him here. So I don't think he loved Binghamton or Sherwood because of that. But he's like, we talked, I think Monday or Tuesday, like, this week. And, I told him, like, we got a lot of respect for what he's done, and Alex and Grammer, like with, what is now kind of a small market team and always been competitive. And obviously with Chris behind the bench. And I mean, he you won't believe it, but he said like he really respects like Sherwood and what we've done too. And he said kind of what we said, like, hey, in the interviews, I say certain things because I know it's going to get a response. And I said, dude, I totally get it. Like if I knew, like I've done things too, like after the Blue Ridge thing, like I went out in the media and said some things about certain people within the league that I don't really think that, but I said it because I knew it would kind of get the boys riled up and it would get the attention away from the players. So like, there's a certain amount of that stuff that you got to do.
It's good chirping.
Yeah, it's you gotta play into the fan base a little bit, and you gotta like obviously at the time you kind of mean it, right? Because like when you're playing each other, you wanna make sure you're in the best position to win. But it doesn't mean that like in June we don't forget about it. Like we'll all see each other in I think it's Myrtle Beach for the league meeting. We'll all hang out and talk, and we'll be friends. And then October comes around, we'll hate each other again, and that's just kind of the circle of life in this.
So you buying Port Huron a round of drinks when you go to Myrtle Beach, or?
I mean, I think it's on them at this point. We've taught them a lot of lessons, right? So I think they owe me $1 of drinks for every point we've taken over the last few years. So there'll be Probably like $100 at least. I don't know the stats, and I don't want to ask you guys because it's your show, but it'd be expensive for them. Luckily for them, they're not a big.
If you were to ask me the stats right now, I couldn't tell you. I couldn't really tell you.
I couldn't really either, to be honest. Like on the whole, like you kind of keep track of it, but like against certain opponents, you kind of know like how you're trending. But yeah, I wouldn't know like over the last few years how it's been.
So do you see Tomei moving up? I mean, he's a rookie goalie. He's stood on his head all season for you.
I mean, it's certainly possible. I mean, he deserves a shot at the East Coast, right? So if he gets the opportunity, then we'll fully support him going there. I mean, he's just a great professional, very level-headed, very calm. Like his demeanor, like he's very, very focused and locked in. It's very much like we did great, but the boys in front of me gave me a ton of help, and let's move on to the next game. I think having him and C-Mac, as a tandem makes us feel really, really good. It's you got to have a great starter, but if you also have an option as a backup, obviously that helps a lot too.
Now I'll sort of run off of that with obviously support the people going up. What brings back them people that are up in the SP, the EC and stuff to come back down to Binghamton? What drives them to take their skill level down? And I can't say down a little bit, but to a lower league to come back for certain like high expectation games.
I would say probably at this point, I don't know whether the SP is a better league than ours. Like, I think if we played SP teams, I'd like our chances. Like, I don't watch a lot of SP games, and it's not just a Binghamton thing. Like, you'll see guys on other teams that maybe are third liners in the Fed, and they go and they play in the SP and they become leading players. I mean, look at Caden Henry. Like, he was with us, and we moved him to Monroe, I think, and they moved him to Biloxi, and he goes in the SP and he lit it up for quite a while, right? And we've had other guys on our team that they come from the SP, and then they don't necessarily make the team. Like when I got into the Fed in 20, I think it was 20 or 21, if you were in the SP camp and you got cut like before the season, you'd come down and you'd be a really good Fed player. Like those days are gone. So I don't necessarily think it is better hockey in the SP anymore. The travel is a lot of the times a little bit worse, I think, in the SP. A lot of people like the treatment they got, like as far as like medical and being taken care of. The housing maybe in some cases is better. I think in the case of some of our players, there's been like other reasons too. Like if you look at Mac Johansson, like he had some like pretty personal reasons why he wanted a new challenge, and he was a very close friend of Scherzy's, like from way before he joined our team. Like they knew each other for a long time, and when he wanted to move on from Roanoke, he kind of felt like this was probably a better landing spot for him rather than go somewhere else in the SP. Bondarenko was obviously, a lot of teams were trying to gun for him. He's a great player, great person, great family. And like one thing that we were able to help him out, because I have young kids, was we were able to kind of help him navigate like the New York like school system and make sure his kid got into school and could start that process that they were kind of falling behind on when he was in Florida. So like that's a reason. I think playing in, like the SP, you have some teams that really excel and they draw a lot of fans and they have a great setup, but you have some, just like in our league, like some teams are really good at how they treat the players and drawing fans and how they do things, and then some are less so. So I think that's probably the reason why they come to the Fed. The East Coast, I don't know that you're really seeing guys necessarily coming. Like we had in our case, it was Sargis. Sargis played with Sherwood a couple times, and he knew a couple of guys on our team. And like he's 30, I want to say he's 36 years old. So he probably saw that, like, being a 10th forward and in and out of the lineup in the Coast isn't ultimately like, it's not like you're going to get an opportunity to go in the American League, right? Like you're going to be in and out of the lineup in the Coast. And when you get a little bit older as a player, maybe you start to value other things. Like, do you have a permanent home you can be? Like, you're not playing a 10 forward role where maybe you have to go out and try to fight and play that kind of game, or, you're obviously more injury prone at an older age. And I think he just kind of liked what we were trying to do. Like, for some guys, it comes down to just, do I have an opportunity to win a championship before I retire? I think that's one reason, but I think if a player is legitimately in the ECHL and they choose to come to the Fed, then I think you have to look at what could be driving that. Like, is there money being paid? Which, I mean, we can sit here and lie. Like, of course, there's money being paid in a lot of places to guys. Like, whenever you see guys that could play in the ECHL and they're young guys and they could build a career, maybe playing even higher up, of course you got to question what's the reasoning. Like, is it because it's so much nicer to live in town X than where they were? No, it's probably money. We don't have experience with those kinds of things. Like, I think you could probably ask Ken, or you could ask anybody that, that will tell you the truth that there's a problem within the league with payroll. And I think we've really been trying to help push this slotting system for next year, because I think that's going to be like a great equalizer where ultimately it doesn't really matter what you want to pay your players. You can only have so many guys from each level of hockey anyway, at which point it's going to remove a lot of the whole, well, this team's cheating, that team's cheating. I mean, I think you always have to look at how our team's built. Like, if you look at our situation, for example, like, we've been very successful for 3 years, but I mean, if you look at how we've done it, like, it's young kids. Like, Sherwood's first full season, we kind of made a decision to move away from a lot of the older Fed guys that have been in the league for a long time. And we brought in a bunch of younger guys, and it worked out. And we've some of those players are still with us today. And we've been able to, like, get players from those same kind of schools and those same kind of sources. So, like, we haven't had to go out and say, let's get a Coast player, let's get a player that, like, I don't think it necessarily helps you. Like, I think in some cases where there have been big signings, if you get a player, and, like, I say this too, like, we own soccer teams in Europe too, and soccer and money is probably more linked than hockey and money. But whenever you're signing a player primarily for money, you got to question, like, are you really going to get the best out of that guy? Like, is he gonna get down and block a shot on a 3-on-5, or is he just gonna think, oh, you know what, that's not, like, I'm not saying that he won't, but they might not. Well, if you have guys who say, you know what, I like what you guys have done in Binghamton, I played with this guy and this guy, I like what Sherwood is doing, I like my chances of moving on, and then the next question becomes about money. Like, yeah, we'll try to make it work, but it's not that we lift the phone and go, hey, ECHL player, come down here, we're going to pay you $2,000 a week. Like, we have no interest in doing that, because ultimately it's going to screw everybody over in the league. And, like, I've always said this, like, when one team starts pushing payroll and another team responds, it just becomes a race to the bottom, where it's going to hurt, it'll hurt teams like Port Huron, it'll really hurt teams like Watertown and Indiana, where the revenue is just more limited because the building's smaller, you don't have as much advertising space, you can't sell as many tickets. It really hurts it for everybody when that becomes the situation.
So I've been curious. Andy asked, about the guys coming back from higher up leagues to come back and stay in the Fed. One thing I don't know about this league is the salary cap. Are you guys giving a certain amount of money? I mean, it could be for any team. Are you guys giving a certain amount of money to play with through the whole season to pay these guys? Or, how does that work?
Well, yeah. So the salary cap is basically, it's a weekly cap, but it's calculated like, so let me see, I'm trying to think of the right term for it. Like, let's say you have a 30-week season and your cap is $5,000 a week, right? That gives you $150,000. So if you are under the cap by like $500 for the first 10 weeks or something, that's another like $5,000 that you can spend later in the season to kind of catch up, if that makes sense. Like if you're $2,500 for or $4,500 for 10 weeks, then you can be at $5,500 for 10 weeks. And then the college players that come in, they are not counted towards the cap. So you could pay them basically whatever you want.
Okay. So when I guess any team, I hate saying you guys only, but if you were to sign me or Andy and I came in, let's say I had SP experience, right? And Andy has ECHL experience. Would you offer like, hey, if we bring you in, we're going to give you 700-800 a game? Is that how I guess this league works? I mean, I know in the SP they make more money than the Fed.
Well, I can't speak for other teams. Like we wouldn't do that. Like if I'm trying to answer your questions like in a very honest way without like
Yeah.
Getting anybody in trouble. But I think there's an element of certain teams doing that more than others, where you see like big name signings coming out of nowhere, and there's always a reason given, right? Where, oh no, he just lived around the corner. Oh no, his girlfriend's uncle's babysitter just lives here, so he wants to play. You can always come up with excuses for why things are happening. But I mean, there's definitely a conversation like that takes place. Like we've talked to players and ultimately passed on them and then seen them sign elsewhere for, on paper, less money, but we know what they were asking us, and they obviously weren't going somewhere else for less. I don't think so, unless they really didn't want to go to Binghamton, but they wanted to go to another team. So yeah, to an extent, honestly, that's what happens. A player, they might come from somewhere else and say, hey, I can make 800 in the coast, but if you pay me 1,200, I'll sign. We don't do those deals. I mean, you can look at our roster for 4 years. I don't think we've ever had a guy come straight from like an ECHL contract. But when you do see it happening, like every now and then, there could be a reason why a player all of a sudden is at the Fed level, but not a coast level anymore. But a lot of the time, like it's like with anything, like money's gonna speak louder than anything.
Oh yeah.
I mean, I gotta chime in here. My mic muted, but money is the root of everything, right? From jobs to salary cap, it's bottom dollar. What's the bottom dollar you can get this? And it's kind of I don't want to say sickening, but it's like if a player is good enough, okay, here's $800. This is what you can do. That player should be happy, but theoretically, the player knows what he's worth, and it's your job and some other owner's job to say, sorry, bud, but you're not worth 800. You're only worth 5. But later down the road, we may give you 800. And it's one of them battles as an owner that you have to deal with. I mean, sorry, but
Well,
I don't want to be in your shoes, Andreas.
And like a lot of and desperation will set the price too, right? Like if you try to negotiate with a team that's doing well, you probably aren't going to get what you want. But if a team's just been on a losing streak, they may have lost one of their better players for whatever reason, or they may be making a push for the playoffs. I mean, that's pretty normal, like in soccer too. Like the trade deadline, like you're always going to overpay for a player, because if you don't make a deal today, like the deal, you can't do a deal. So the players know that, the agent, I mean, at that level, it's more so the agents than the players that you negotiate with, but they know that. And that happens here too. Like sometimes you can look at a team that's struggling and all of a sudden you see a big name getting rolled out. He probably get paid a lot of money to go to that place, So what we're trying to get is like a slotting system where you can only have like one ECHL guy or two ECHL, whatever it is. I don't really care what it is, but at that point, it doesn't really matter why the guy signs with you. Like, it doesn't matter if, he wanted to play for you forever or he was just money. Like, at that point, it doesn't matter. But what happens is when some teams start, like, pushing the payroll, like, I would say it's more endemic in some places. I'll probably leave it at that. But like, it's more endemic in some places. But like, one big thing that like I've seen just in the 5 years I've been in the league, and I think I can say this without getting into too much trouble, is that back when I got into it, like you legitimately had guys that were paid like, you know, $100 a week, $150 a week, and they came in to play the games. Maybe they like lived somewhere else and they played games because they loved playing. You're not you're not really seeing those guys anymore. Like even guys getting in the league the first year, they kind of know, or they what they think they're worth is not necessarily what they're worth, but it's what they can get offered somewhere. And the other thing too that like other owners don't maybe consider as much is that like it's not just what you pay the player salary wise. Because I mean, you can make the argument that like if I pay you $300 a week or $600 a week, it's $300 times 30 weeks is $9,000. Like that's you sell 700 tickets, you cover that. It's also like a better player of that caliber is also going to want, oh, I can't live in this kind of housing. No. I need my own apartment. Oh, my girlfriend's coming with me. I need something for her to do. Oh, these sticks, I'm not playing with this garbage. I need better sticks. Oh, I'm flying to the games. I'm not riding a bus. Like the costs that are like associated with the players get bumped up even more. And that's like really, really hard to control. Like you can try to calculate, well, if we win another 10 games, we could draw another X amount of fans and that could be worth 60 grand. So like, let's pull out all the stops and get these players. But you're not thinking about like, first of all, now that player becomes untradeable, right? Because no one, like on paper, he's making 300, but in reality, he's making 1,200. So when you call us to make a trade and we say, all right, yeah, we can do that. We can get a guy $300. And then you talk to him and he says, no, I'm making 1,200. Like now you can no longer, you kind of become, you make the player, you can't move the player, but you kind of become a prisoner of your own system because now you have a whole team of guys you can't trade anywhere because they're making a lot more money than what you're telling other owners. So now you can't trade them because then you get busted for cheating, right? So like it kind of just becomes a bad, it becomes a negative spiral.
Yeah, it becomes that situation that leaves a bad taste in that player's mouth. It also leaves a bad taste in the owner's mouth and the league that has to deal with the shenanigans between all three parties. And it's kind of like you gotta rule it out eventually. You gotta separate it, move away from it, and start with a different system that works accordingly with the league.
Yeah, and it's like how do you stop it, right? Like I know this is a conversation that's been had many times. Like everyone's like, well, the league's got to stop it, and like I don't see how you can do it. Like nothing stops you from paying someone X amount of money through the league and then giving them cash or gift cards or whatever. Like that's what teams do. And I don't see.
I've heard of the gift cards. I've heard of the gift card thing.
Yeah,
for like food.
Being so different and being in different locations, the cost of living's higher in New York than what it is in Port Huron, than what it is in Topeka, the Indiana market. So you say, like how you said, $1,200. Let's say $1,200 apartment here would be a nice apartment. $1,200 there, you'd be living in a crack shack.
Yeah, no, Binghamton's like it's a lot of students, right? So like it's more expensive to get good housing. So while in some places like the travel might be easier or the weather is nicer or whatever it is, like there's a million different reasons, but it's very hard to like for the league, I guess, to step in and like just stop the cheating, like just because there's a lot more that goes into it. There's so much they would have to do. That's pretty difficult.
Yeah,
I think we could all agree that this league,
let's do this.
the league itself has some issues that I guess I would have said they need to address. I mean, we've seen it for the past couple of years. It's just there's quite a few things that the league needs to sit down this year and address because I'm sorry. Things keep going the way they're going in this league. We're not going to have this league 10 years down the road.
Yeah, I mean, there are certainly things that could be better. I mean, like, I think the way that you grow the league and expand the league, like it needs to be like a little bit more thought out. When
Location
we want
wise,
to
for sure.
grow, but yeah, like we all want to grow the league, and it's great, but like at the same time, you need like sustainability. You need to make sure that you don't add two teams and lose two teams every year. Like you kind of need to have a little sustainability, and I think there needs to be like a little more of like a when new owners come in, I think they should be a little more like a process of like trying to really teach them like what the numbers really look like. I mean, to the point, the stuff we just talked about now with the players. I mean, there's a huge gray area or a kind of a number that nobody really wants to talk about what it really costs to run a team because of what you do spend on players and other things like that. And you go into it thinking, oh, I'm going to be like at the cap or below every week. I mean, you can do that, and some teams really do it, but it's really hard to compete. Like, I'm not saying you got to do much, on the side, but there's going to be expenses you don't know about. So I think these has to be more of like an educational process of like, if you're getting into this, here's the money that you're going to need to spend every year, and if you don't generate that much revenue, do you have the money to lose? And are you going to actually be willing to do that? Because those aren't the same thing either. Because you just can't have teams coming and going all the time. Like it's a bad look for the league, and it kind of, losing two big markets, Biloxi and Baton Rouge, like they're big buildings, and they were kind of like, I don't think they ever really performed well for whatever reason, but we I would like to see a focus on like trying to keep markets alive rather than maybe like trying to expand too much.
Like Athens leaving, that was a pretty big building, but they had their site.
That was huge.
It's huge. It's
Yeah,
massive.
I mean,
So
I think that's
the
I think
tide had
it's
jumped.
yeah, and I think that's unfortunate, and I think it not necessarily the decision I would have made. I think in their position, I don't know exactly their reasoning, but I don't think they were getting hurt by playing in the Fed. I mean, they had a very good draw. They had a good schedule. They had a competitive team. So I'm not sure the grass is going to be greener, on the other side for them. But obviously they made the decision, and hopefully it works out for them.
Yeah.
So, go ahead, Richard.
I was just gonna say. I mean, I don't know what I was gonna say. Go on, Justin. My brain's running.
My question: we seen Athens go to the SP this year, right? I think we all can agree that it was announced. We don't have to hide behind, well, if it is announced, blah, blah, blah. What's stopping, I guess, because let's face it, you guys have a talented squad. We all know it. Everybody in the league knows it. What's stopping your team, from going to the SP?
I don't think we necessarily have any like interest in going to the SP. Like I don't know that there's anything there that we don't have already in the Fed. Like I think in some aspects maybe like their immigration is a lot better than ours, but hopefully that's something that we're fixing now. Um, Other than that, I don't know that there's anything there that would be looking for that we don't already have. And if nothing else, like
Yeah.
geographically, it would be terrible.
I guess I never thought about the map. I don't really know all the locations for the SP teams, but
I mean, there's nobody close to us. I mean, there's teams in Illinois, and there's the rest of them are down like you
Down
got Macon
south.
and Fayetteville, and yeah, like it would be horrible for us to be. And I don't think they would necessarily want us either, because the travel for them would be tough. I mean, we'd had some talks with East Coast Hockey League, a couple of years ago, but their entry fee went up from, I think it was 2 million when we talked to them, to 6 million now, and ultimately,
oh wow.
like I don't think we'd draw any more fans. Like we're probably selling 85% of our tickets as it is, and we play Friday, Saturdays, and we have a lot of control over how we get the players out in the community and what they do, as opposed to like a unionized league where you lose a lot of that control and you're playing midweeks and I just don't see the purpose other than to say, yeah, I own a team that's affiliated somewhat with an NHL team. There's just very little upside to it. So like we considered it because there were some things we we were concerned with, like as far as how the league was going. But it's it's not something that, like, never say never, but it's not something that we're like actively really ever
Pursuing.
thinking about.
Could we
No, and I
see the
think
new
they're at
your new team? I mean, that's Mid South, right? They're kind of in the SP region, right?
yeah, they'd probably be a lot more. They
But
were in the SP before.
Oh, okay. So
wait a
could we
minute,
ever possibly see them go to the SP then?
$6 million is the price tag, Justin. I mean, I'm sorry, Andre, but $6 million, that's a lot of money.
Yeah, and I don't think we'd have any reason, especially into the Southern League. I don't see it. Like, could it ever be an East Coast market? Who knows? But like, I think they're at 32 teams now, so I don't think they would even like let another team in anyway until the NHL and then the AHL would expand. Maybe they would, but I don't, I don't think so. Like, you never say never, right? But like,
Yeah.
I don't see really any reason why the SP would offer something that we don't already kind of have access to. Like, I think in a lot of cases it's like the grass is greener, but I don't think it's going to be much greener on that. Like, the complaints that fans have and owners have in the Fed, I think are the same. Like, they all hate their officiating. They're kind of sick with how the league's done. Like, I think the complaints are the same. Honestly, I don't think it would be much different.
Yeah. I hate to say this, but I mean, all four of us can sit here all night long and just bullshit about hockey. I mean, I'm sorry, but yeah, obviously you can see that we got four dudes here very passionate about hockey. But I mean, I think I covered everything. Justin, Andy, you guys got everything.
I got one more thing for them.
Shoot away, Justin.
All right.
'Cause this whole dog
Can
is-
you
Sorry.
can you do us one favor on here?
Depends. What
Can
is it?
you? Yeah. Well, obviously you have Dominic Tomei. He got goalie of the year. Congratulations. Can you say Reed Cooper's right there with him as the best goalie in the league?
I'm sorry, you were cutting out. What were you saying?
Can you say that Reed Cooper is pretty much up there with Dominic Tomei as the best goaltender in the league?
He's certainly up there. Like, if you ask me, would I trade? No, I would stick with Tomei because he's proven himself to be a winner, and I think it's going to carry us to a championship. It doesn't mean that Cooper isn't a great goalie. Like, I think he's a great goaltender, and I think in a lot of cases, like in a lot of situations, he kept you guys in games. Seems like a great guy. I don't think I've ever talked to him. Seems like a great guy. Would I put Tomei over him purely based on numbers? I certainly would. Like, I trust Tomei. Yesterday we killed 5 penalties to stop the penalty shot, and ultimately he's still playing right in May, and just like C-Mac has been for the last 2 years. But certainly, like, I think Reed Cooper's a great goaltender.
On that note, Andreas, if you're ever in Port Huron, find one of us and we will buy you a beer. Any beer you want, we will buy it for you. And if we ever make the trip to Bingo, I want to personally shake your hand, sir, for taking time out.
Anytime.
Coming on ThumbFed Talk and just talking hockey with us. Me and Ivy,
Yeah,
we got Port Huron stuff hanging in the background. But we want to keep the fans, everyone fed with Fed hockey. And I think that's the purpose of ThumbFed Talk, is keep everyone engaged. Oh boy, they got Andreas on. Oh boy, they got so what? We're keeping people engaged. So one day you might have a new fan stumble through your barn or a new fan stumble in Port Huron. But at the end of the day, all four of us can agree that we love Fed hockey.
Of course. Yeah, it's for better and for worse. It is what it is, right? It keeps you there. So no, thank you guys for having me on, man. It was a good time.
You're welcome,
Yes,
Andre.
thank you.
Anytime you want to hop on here, just shoot one of us a message and go from there. I thank you, kind sir. You have a wonderful evening.
Oh, and good luck the rest of the way.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Good luck.
All right, guys. Talk to you later.
See
All right,
ya.
bye.